Mo Salah, Mo Salah, Mo Salah, running down the wing. I've just been singing the Mo Salah song for before we started talking Reds, because that's what everyone's talking about today. And you know what? Why not? Because he's boss, isn't he? And the band's back together, me and Craig, after all the, this big merry-go-round of tour contributors and impressionists in Darren Farley and all the rest of it. It's back to the the original two. So yeah, we're going to have a chat first about Mo Salah, because he's been interviewed in 442. He's on the front page, in fact, and all the papers, all the websites, and now us have picked up on this. Some nice quotes from him, including this one, which the Mirror's put on a massive page there for you. I don't want to sound arrogant, but come on, I know I'm good.
Love it. Amazing.
It's right, Mo. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's too many sound bites in soccer these days, and there's too much media training gone on. There's too many people saying the same things like, "Oh yeah, I know I just scored an absolute worldie," but it was all about the 3 points. No, it wasn't. You're absolutely buzzing that you just scored a boss goal. So I'm made up that a footy player, for once, has been honest and admitted that he's quite good at footy, and he fancied his chances when he comes to the Premier League. Should we run through how boss he is one more time?
Happily.
28 goals in 34 games for Liverpool Football Club. The fastest Liverpool player to 20 goals in the Premier League. And for those that say, and they do in the comments, we read them, I told you, those that say we never talk about the deep dark past of football before the Premier League, well, Mo is the quickest to 25 goals for Liverpool in 102 years. So he's beat King Kenny, Roger Hunt, Ian Rush. And so all the doubts now really about whether he was any good and whether Mourinho was right to bin him are long gone now, haven't they? It's all about sort of, can we keep hold of him? How much is he worth? He must be worth more than Coutinho, surely.
Well,
170, 180, 200 million?
I wouldn't sell him for, like,
well,
if
we
you
wouldn't
said,
sell him.
Yeah,
no,
exactly. Like if someone said 200 million and come May or June this year, I'd be fuming if he sold him, to be honest. I wouldn't take heed of what Mourinho has done in the past. He's made a habit out of binning players that have gone on to greater things. See De Bruyne, Lukaku to a certain extent, and Salah's just the latest in the list of those players. Yeah, look, he's been unbelievable. He's probably he could be the most exciting signing we've made in my lifetime in terms of, just the impact that he's had from the beginning. And
Torres was good.
Torres
was good from the start.
Torres was, but I think Torres felt like the first marquee signing of my life, or the one that got me most excited of any signing. But now with Salah, we signed him, and I think it was around the same time as the whole Van Dijk thing was happening, and Salah just sort of seemed to be we've signed Salah. He's a good player. It wasn't, oh my God, we've signed Mohamed Salah. Do you know what I mean? We weren't hitting time.
We weren't getting the fireworks out.
Which is
good signing.
So it's made it better. It's made it all the better that he's done what he's done. And it's funny. I saw John Aldridge talk the other day about Liverpool. The reason Liverpool haven't been able to keep up with City is because they don't have a proper striker that scores 25 goals. Well, that's it's the maddest thing. Ex-pros coming out and saying that, because
it was aimed at Firmino, that wasn't it?
Well,
I mean,
Firmino's
he's got 19, I think.
So,
but he's basically saying if he had another 10, if he was an absolute out and out poacher, maybe Liverpool would be higher up. Yeah, but I think
saying it if he's Harry Kane.
I mean, goals aren't our problem. I mean, this side's scoring more than the 87, 88 side right now. So however you work out, quite why Liverpool aren't where we want them to be, i.e. top of the league, it isn't down to being able to score goals. We're the second highest scorers in the league. We're the best on the road as well. I think we've got 32 goals away from home in the league this season, and that's the best out of anyone. That's more than City. So scoring goals isn't Liverpool's problem, is it?
What I like most about Salah is the goals, the teams he's scoring these goals against, because he's not just scoring against the bottom sort of 14. He's scoring against the big sides. I mean, something like 7 goals he's scored against the top 6, and just how important those goals are. You can see that he is a genuine match winner, and that excites me. That gives me confidence going into a game like Porto, and further on the Champions League if we progress, and going away to the likes of United, Everton and Chelsea, which we've got to do over the next few months, knowing that you've got a player like Mohamed Salah who can just, with a flick of a switch, or he can just he can create something, or he can score a goal out of nothing.
He's staying fit as well, isn't he? He's staying fit. He looks sharp. I mean, there've been very few games. There've been a couple, but there've been very few games where you're like, he's not on it today.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He always looks to be a threat. And also, he's got that thing about him, hasn't he, where you almost know what he's going to do. You know what his favourite foot is. You know the type of things that he does, and yet you can't stop him.
Yeah.
It's like Robin. Like, he just always goes outside and bangs it. Yeah, stop him from doing it, though.
Yeah, even some of the things he does look quite untidy as well, which he bounces off players, but he never loses the ball. That's the thing I love about him, that you see him in situations where there's like 3 lads around him, and he manages to keep hold of it, and you're thinking, how has he just done that? And then he scores an absolute belter like he did against Spurs, and again you're thinking, my God, how's he just, and it's a shame that at times this season he's been let down by those behind him, because God, that 3 points against Spurs would have been massive, and it would have been down to Mo Salah.
Well, let's laugh at Mourinho a little bit more. I mean, he got Salah for £11 million from Basel, pipping Liverpool, of course, at the time. Since then, Salah's got rid of his agent. Just saying, but he does say in this interview that he always wanted to play for Liverpool. So join the dots there, I would suggest. But yeah, £11 million, and he played only 13 league games at Chelsea, and then that was that. He was shipped out on loan, and he says in the interview that he was never given an explanation by Mourinho as to why it didn't work. He says he doesn't really hold a grudge with him. Spoke to him since, but they've never discussed about why it didn't work out at Chelsea. In general as well, I mean, he just seems like a nice fella, doesn't he? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. He's settled down, he's got his wife and his kids, he keeps to himself. This is his first major interview he's really done. He done one with the club, but sort of media outside of the club, if you like. This 4-4-2 one is the first big one he's done. And then other than that, he's fairly understated. He's making charitable donations back home. They love him in Egypt. And it just seems like, he's a decent fella. He's knuckled down. I mean, we did something on him ages ago, didn't we, where we were saying, back in the day, to make it as a footballer, he was travelling like 4 hours each way a day just to have a game of footy for someone and do his training. So, he's got that dedicated streak which has got him to where he is. And now it's just a question, really, isn't it, of, how long can we keep him and how do we keep him? I mean, improved terms, I guess, would help. But also winning something would help, wouldn't it? I mean, I was looking before at sort of some of the recent players that we've loved and lost, if you like. We mentioned Torres just there. I mean, Torres left Liverpool having won nothing. Suarez left Liverpool having won only a League Cup. Coutinho's recently left, won nothing. Sterling left, won nothing. Mascherano left, won nothing. And all of those players, well, Coutinho could end up with a title medal from Barcelona this season. Suarez has obviously won loads there.
Mascherano's one's like
Mascherano,
mad.
Yeah, there was a picture, wasn't it? And it's just, it was like Everton's trophy cabinet. Well, it's more than that, obviously. But yeah, he just had a shitload of trophies, didn't he? And it was like, it was like the old George Best quote, like, where did it all go wrong?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, what I'm saying here is it's all well and good, good recruitment and getting a player like Mo, but then to keep him, we've got to win things, haven't we? Goes without saying.
Definitely, like, it's a disgrace. Some of those players you've got down there, like, to think Fernando Torres didn't win anything, Suarez a League Cup, and Mascherano as well, who, like you said, I think he made a decent decision moving away. Do you know what I mean? And it's sad to say and it's horrible to say, but look, it's up to the club, it's up to the owners now over the next few years to ensure that we are sort of progressing along with these players' aspirations, because like we say, if it gets another this season and next season we've not won anything, then the papers will be talking about Mo Salah and you'll have Real Madrid sniffing around them, and we've seen that far too many times now, and I just don't want that to happen. But it feels like Klopp's building something good here, I think, and a big summer for us would hopefully propel us to that trophy. And who knows, the Champions League this season, you never know what could happen. That we won it while we were side and squad in 2005. So
if we get past Porto, which is by no means an easy feat, I think we need to not get complacent about that. But I think if we get past them, anything goes after that. I think we can beat any side at Anfield. We know that we can bring the atmosphere and we can intimidate sides, and so we can go anywhere. And I think we're something like 16-1 to win the Champions League, and that that's worth a quid in my book, because I'm not a big better, as you might just bet.
What would you do? Your 16 quid?
What would I do with your 16? Get 3 pints. Subscribe to the Anfield app 3 times.
Yeah. Boost my numbers.
I'm not into it all, but no, I mean, I think Liverpool have got a puncher's chance because we're Liverpool and because we've got players like Mo Salah.
Yep.
Also as well, just a quick plug, because it kind of fits into what we're talking about. did a good podcast called The Big Question, where we talked about what represents success for Liverpool this season and beyond. I mean, we'd all love to win the European Cup, obviously. We'd all love to win the league. But is top four good enough for Liverpool? Is consistent top four finishes good for Liverpool? Are there other things which you measure success by, such as kids coming through the academy, players like Trent Alexander-Arnold, stuff like that? We got into all of that in a big debate, and it was really good, I thought. So give that one a listen if you haven't done already, and let me know what you thought. We'll be back in a minute and look at what's been making the big stories in the newspapers today. Okay, today's papers and the big stories making the news today, and yeah, I thought we'd sort of had enough of Alexis Sanchez being on the back of national newspapers. You know, he's moved and can't be shut up about him now. I mean, remember how frustrated I was getting with 2 weeks worth of headlines on him, but he's here again. Sanchez guilty, says the Daily Mail. United stars tax fraud. The details of this are he's been handed a 16-month jail sentence for tax fraud. He's accepted a punishment for defrauding the Spanish tax authorities of £900,000. Don't get too excited. Don't get too excited. He's not going to jail. He's not going to jail. He doesn't have to do porridge. He doesn't have to wear a suit with arrows on it and share with Ronnie Barker. Because, well, he couldn't, could he? But anyway, that's another story. But no, the sentence is less than 2 years, and it's his first offence, so he doesn't have to go behind bars and do a bit of jug. What he does have to do is pay a £525,000 fine, plus pay the tax back on the image rights he earned at Barca. So, you know, that's a week's wages then, isn't it? So that's no skin off his nose, really, in the grander scheme. And that's all we've got to say about that for watching lawyers. Okay then, so more winter break chat. Mentioned this briefly the other day when we was on with Darren Farley. A bit more meat on the bones now around this idea. They've been having a chat about it. It looks more and more likely that it will happen at some point, but quite how it will happen and how it will work, they still haven't worked that out. Surprise, surprise. The latest idea is the idea of having staggered breaks. So what this would mean is that clubs sort of take turns to have a bit of a rest through the winter period, but there are still 4 or 5 Premier League games being played, and then others would get shifted to midweek. This would be alongside the idea of scrapping FA Cup 5th round replays. I mean, what this means obviously is that there would still be footy. There would still be footy on the telly, and surprise, surprise, it seems that the big broadcasters, Sky, BT, etc., they've got no appetite to follow the German model, which this season saw Germany have no football, no domestic football for 22 days. France had a 16-day break, Italy had a 14-day break, Spain had an 11-day break. But what these are proposing here is no break at all, just you know, a staggered rest, really. I mean, the first thing that jumps out to me about this one, Craig, is the lack of consideration again for the clubs further down the league. So, you know, you saw last night, for instance, Tottenham played Newport at Wembley, replay and all that, and that's a great money spinner for Newport. They're in League Two. They need all the money they can get. They're not sustained by big crowds. They're not paying the players big wages. A lot of football at that level, and certainly lower down, is being done for the love. And getting in the early rounds of the FA Cup and going on a bit of a run is a huge money spinner for them. And if you're taking away the opportunity for them to have a 5th round replay, that's a lot of money down the Swanee for clubs that really, really need that cash.
Yeah, like, you know, as a fan of a big club, your first thought would be, that would be, you know, it'd be nice to do it similar to what they do with the League Cup. But I think maybe being a traditionalist, is that a word? Have I made that word up?
No, that's a word, mate, yeah. Well done, you've been reading that book, haven't you?
Honigstein still reading, still at the same
What are you up? I want to read that.
But yeah, sort of being a traditionalist, I like the idea of these little clubs having a chance to, you know, grind out a draw and then go to Old Trafford, go to Wembley. Going to Wembley would be really weird. If you're a Newport County fan, you just pretend it's the FA Cup final, wouldn't you? Just pretend it is. But yeah, look, I like the Spanish option where they have 11 days off, because that doesn't feel too much. Like, I love watching footy over Christmas. I love having it on Boxing Day. I love having it what feels like every 3 days. But I'm sure the footballers would like a rest too, and I think especially for a team managed by Jurgen Klopp, a rest would be lovely over that period. We've seen what he's been able to do with Dortmund. They've maybe had in his last season. They had a difficult spell before the winter break. He takes them off, gives them a bit of a rest, and then afterwards they have a great 6 months. So I think a side like ours would benefit from a break. As a fan, I love the football over Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're talking more January, so I don't think they want to take away that tradition, which is, I'm with you, it's a good thing. I think Boxing Day footy and
January's
New Year's
crap.
Day
January's crap. That's the worst month of the year. So I definitely don't want to lose. I don't want to lose footy.
I just don't like the early rounds of the FA Cup. I'm a traditionalist, you see.
We liked it this season, though, didn't we?
Well, we were enjoying it, and then friggin' Alan Pardew came along, didn't he? The blurt. Brian Reid, I'm always plugging Brian Reid, aren't I? But he's like me sort of journalistic hero, and I wrote him a letter once and he didn't write back. But there he is. He's got a column in the Mirror. He's very good and a very good read as ever. His main piece is about Abramovich and Conte, but that's another thing. We've done a little bit of that this week. But it feels like we haven't mentioned VAR this week. My favourite subject.
It feels like every time I've been on this over the past 3 weeks, we've talked about this machine.
Well, Bry's nailed it here for me, because the thing is, everyone's banging on about how it'd be a good thing. A lot of people are saying can't understand why you wouldn't want it. Even though we had the West Brom experience, which for being inside the ground as a fan was crap, people are still saying, yeah, but it'll be good, it'll be this, it'll be that, it'll be the other. Brian's got this little nugget for you all. He says, Graham Poll, Mark Clattenburg, Mark Halsey and Keith Hackett were all paid to give their opinions to newspapers about the two contentious penalty decisions at Anfield on Sunday. Here are the results. Halsey thought Kane was offside for the first, but the second was fine. Clattenburg thought both of them were offside. Hackett thought the first was offside, the second onside, and it was definitely a penalty. And Poll thought the officials got both decisions right. So, they're referees, ex-referees that have sat at home, digested all the newspapers, watched all the replays, watched Match of the Day, watched the coverage live, had all the time in the world to decide on those decisions, and they still can't agree. Which is kind of my point. Like, if you're going to bring in VAR, it's still going to, a lot of the time, boil down to subjectivity. It's going to boil down to a referee in a studio going, well, was that enough? Was that enough contact for a penalty? Yeah, in my opinion, it was. Give a pen.
Yeah.
And so you're still going to have this sort of human error. You're still going to have misjudgments. You're still going to have mistakes. And I kind of think, well, can we just leave it then? Should we just fuck it off? Should we just have it as it is now? It's all right,
You don't have to provide us with a few minutes worth of content though on Talking Edge. You know what I mean? Look, I being at that game, that West Brom game, it was just absolutely, it was a nightmare, and it sort of put me off it. And I don't think there'll be anything that'll be able to talk me into having VAR every weekend. And that's sad. But we said from the start it was going to be subjective. We said that it was never going to be right. And you can just see what's going to happen if it continues. You'll see it in the FA Cup again this season. We'll be talking about it again at some stage where they've went to VAR, and then 5 minutes later they've went to VAR, and then the match has been broken up and the rhythm and the flow of the game's gone, and the crowd don't know what's going on. In the next month we'll be talking about this again. I'm telling you, after the next FA Cup round we'll be talking about this again.
Not about Liverpool though.
No, unfortunately not. But I'm a bit done with talking about it, and I'm a bit done with it, to be honest.
Fair enough. So am I. But I did used to work at the Mirror for a while, writing headlines. So I just wanted to say, it might be a former colleague of mine. TV rulings will be far from perfect. I just quite like that. I know it's soft and I know it's a silly little pun, but look, it's amusing. Leave me alone. Okay, on the Anfield app today, the Fantasy Football Show will be out there. The Friday show, the big magazine show, all about the weekend's football, that will be out there. And also an early AFQ this week. The reason being is that a panel is convening downstairs to answer your silly questions off the internet and have a laugh and have a drink and record at the same time, and you can enjoy the madness. But we're doing it early because we're going to Sweden and Norway, which we keep banging on about. Oh, and also City Talk Show will be out there tomorrow free if you don't yet subscribe and you want a bit of a taster. But you should subscribe because it's boss. Keep saying that, don't I? Listen to me one time, will ya? But yeah, Sweden or Norway. Well, we're going to both, Sweden and Norway. If you go and see you there, and if you want to know a little bit more about it, John is going to join you now and tell you a little bit about that trip we're making.
We're all really excited to go to Scandinavia this weekend. First time the Anfield Wrap have been, which seems strange, but really looking forward to it. We've got Stockholm live, the Anfield Wrap on Friday night, Oslo live on Sunday night around the Southampton game. We'll be all watching that together as well. Can't wait. I'm just getting all the stuff sorted, getting t-shirts to bring over, and have all our merchandise available there on the night. Also, the people at kitcase.com, lovely people, have given us some luggage to take over so we can take all this gear over. So they have got the official license from Liverpool to put these on suitcases. So personally, I can't wait to rock up at Manchester Airport tomorrow morning with my Liverpool case representing and all that. So they do them in black. And there's this red one as well with the larger bird on. So they're very durable, good quality stuff. So nice one to Kit Case for supplying us those for the weekend. We're going to look to business in Manchester Airport. If you want one, they've also said they'll give us a discount exclusive to Anfield Wrap listeners, viewers. So that's fantastic of them. So you just need to go to kitcase.com and put in the code SALAD21, and that gives you 21% off any of the cases that you want on there, which is pretty good, isn't it? So yeah, SALAD21. All this will be in the YouTube and the Facebook in the blurb as well. But yeah, nice one to Kit Case. Looking forward to representing with those bad boys when we're away, and can't wait to get on the ale in Norway and Sweden.